I'm at milepost 502.1 on the Seligman subdivision. And as you can see by the signal there, it's completely dark. It's not showing any lights. If I go ahead and drop a train in right here and hop inside, you'll see now we already have a green signal. And if you look up at the top under dispatcher, you see that I've got auto engaged. But we haven't even called him yet, and we've got a green signal. And the reason is because on the dispatch screen, you can see us here, a Barstow to Bakersfield train, and we're heading westbound. And we've got 3 clear blocks ahead of us to this next control point here at East Barry. So even without calling the dispatcher, the dispatcher knows that we can at least get to that point. So that's why we have a green light, because there's nothing in front of us in the next 3 blocks. Now, if I go ahead and call auto, though, watch this. And if you've played Run 8 and used auto, this is something you've definitely seen. You'll see he's answering BNSF Barry Tower. I'm going to request a signal. And you see auto is saying, call me at the next control point. But we've got a green signal here, but he's not going to route us through until we get to the next control point. And if I open up the dispatch screen again, you can see we're still where we were before. So this signal at milepost 502.1 is an intermediate signal, or also called a block signal. So if we zoom ahead to the next intermediate signal, right here, and put our train down, and then hop in. Now look at, we still haven't contacted auto. We've now moved to the next block. We've got an approach medium, a flashing yellow. Looking at our BNSF signal rules PDF file, we can see approach medium right there. And you can see that one of the first signal aspect that it shows is a flashing yellow light. And if I go up here to the dispatch menu and call auto again, we're going to get the same response. I'll request a signal and he's going to tell us, call me at the next control point. And this is because, again, this is just an intermediate signal. There's no switch over here. There's nothing that he can change to route you around a train or to route a train around you at this milepost, at this signal. So the approach medium is saying that we need to be prepared to enter this next block going no faster than 40 miles per hour. So now what we're going to do is leave milepost 505.1, and we're going to go to the next intermediate signal, 507.1. And as you can see, there's no train here anymore, and it's dark. But if I put our train back on the track and jump in, now we've got an approach signal. It's no longer flashing yellow, it's solid yellow over red. If we go back to our BNSF signal rules guide, you can see there the solid yellow and approach with the description. We got to be prepared to stop at the next signal. And we need to immediately reduce to 30 miles per hour if we were going faster. And you probably know what's going to happen here, but I'm going to just show you anyway. I'm going to call auto again. And because this is an intermediate signal with no switches to switch a train over to a different track, we're going to get this same thing again. Call me at the next control point. And I'm sure you've seen that many times when playing Run 8 and been frustrated because you're wondering what's the deal. I just want to get a signal. Now, if we look at the dispatch screen, we can see that we've moved up to the next block as well. And we've only got one more block ahead of us before we hit the control point at East Barry. And you know it's a control point because you can see the crossovers. And you've also got signal heads that you can click on. So now what I want to show you is whenever you get the approach signal, the solid yellow over red, that's telling you to be prepared to stop at the next signal. And you can pretty much guarantee that every time you see this, the next the block just ahead of us right here is what Otto considers the control point, because then the next signal is East Barry with a crossover. So what I'm going to do is just move this train ahead just past this signal. And as soon as the signal drops, now I can reach out to Otto. I'll jump back in. And now that we just passed that signal, we're in that control point block. So watch this now. Watch what he says. Now he acknowledged, and he's going to give us a signal. So now look at there. Proceed on signal indication. And if I check my dispatch screen, you can see right there, we've got signals all the way up to, looks like East Griffith control point. And if I zoom in here, I can see that green signal way off in the distance. So as soon as you enter the block after an approach signal, you are now at the next control point. You don't have to wait until you get all the way to the actual signal, like up here at East Barry. You don't have to actually get to this point right here and then call him, even though this is the control point. All you have to do is just cross into this block. So a quick tip, if you're playing single player and you're looking to stop after a few hour session and you want to stop your train and save your game, ideally, if you can, stop your train in that final block before a control point. Like I have the Barstow to Bakersfield train right now. That way, when you load your game and you call Otto for the first time to get your new routing, he's not going to say, call me at the next control point, and then you got to go slow and stay under the limits to get to that next control point. He's going to give you a signal right away because you're in that block, that control point block. I'm now looking eastbound, and you can see the Kingman Industrial Park in the distance there off to the right. And this switch right in front of me will route us off the main line into the industrial park entrance. So if I flip this switch, I go to the other side of the West Barry control point, and I'm going to put our train back down here. And hop inside. So we haven't reached out to Otto yet. So we've got a red signal because we're at a control point. So we're going to default to a red signal. Now, remember, I flipped a switch on the main line up ahead. And if I open up the dispatch screen, you can see that the track is pink, and that's alerting me that there's a switch thrown on the main line. You can see our Barstow to Bakersfield train at the West Barry control point signal. Now, I'm going to try calling Otto to get a signal and watch what happens. So he acknowledged, but we're not getting any signal change. And he's going to just leave us at that. And if I open up the dispatch screen, you can see nothing's changed. Let's try calling him up again. See what he says. We got a 10-4. I heard you the first time. So he's getting a little bit upset, and we're not getting any change. And that's because he can't give us a green here because there's a switch open leading into the siding and into that industrial park. So he's not going to do anything. Now, if I go to the dispatch screen, hit F1, and I turn the auto DS off and try to do it manually, and I left click on the signal head, I get an error at the top left, invalid routing. So even manually, it's not going to let me route the train because that switch is thrown. And if I right click to give myself a restricting, It will allow you to right click it and it turns it, they call it like the moon, I think. It's going to give you that like kind of grayish, light gray color for restricting. However, we don't have a restricting signal because again, there's a switch thrown ahead. If I jump back to that switch and I align it correctly straight ahead, now jump back into our train, look at how we got a restricting, all because I just corrected the switch position. Back in the dispatch screen, I'm going to say, all right, well, I don't want that restricting. So I'm going to left click. Now, if I left click again, if I click one more time, the signal goes dark. So you have to wait about 10 seconds and then the signal will go back to the default, which now we're just getting a red. And when it's in that dark state, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait. So I'm going to turn auto back on. And you can see, look, he's already given us a signal. Because we had called him before. See, on the top left, we got a proceed on signal indication. Because we called him earlier and he acknowledged, but because that switch was thrown up ahead, he wasn't going to do anything until we fixed it. And now that we've fixed it, he's given us a green signal. And now that I have a green signal, if I jump back to that switch and I try to throw it, we're going to get it. Look at the top left. Do not throw that switch. Another train is currently lined over it. And that's because auto gave us this routing. And the same thing would happen if we turned auto off. We still have this routing in place. So if I tried to throw it, oh, now it let us. Oh, but it took away our routing. You can see, look at that. Because I threw the switch, it let me throw it, but now it pulled that away and gave us a red. So if I jump back to the train, you can see now we have a red signal. So a few different ways that you can get into that siding. You can go in your dispatch screen and you can have auto route you somewhere past that switch into the Kingman Industrial Park. So for example, I could tell auto I can double right click on this block so it turns green, and that's essentially telling auto this is where I want my destination to be. Then if I give him a call, he's going to give me an approach signal, and all I need to do is just go past this signal. As soon as I clear this signal, then I can go and throw my switch. Okay, now the signal dropped, and we can jump over here to our switch. And you'll see we can throw it because we've now crossed into this block. And there's our train up in the distance coming this way. And now another option is you can have, when you're doing your routing, you can have auto route you to the control point here just before the switch. So if you were coming from Barstow, let's say, and you went all the way this way heading eastbound through Griffith, you would have him, you would set your double right click and set your destination block as this block that we're currently in right now, so that he stops you where we're currently stopped. Then once you get to here, you'll see that we've got a red signal. But then what you would do is you would now just simply come up here and right click on the signal to give yourself a restricting. And now we've got a restricting. And as soon as we go through this signal, same thing as before. And now if I go to my switch, it lets me throw it. And again, we're in the same scenario where the train's already past this signal, and now it'll allow us to throw the switch and route him into the Kingman Industrial Park. And there he is, again, coming this way. This is just a quick one. I hope it helps clear up any confusion with control points and switches. Thanks for watching.